Name drop.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, Chris and I have been wanting to have you on for a long time, and I felt it was really weird.
If we wanted to have him on for a long time, I think we would have had
That's
him on.
what you're supposed to say when he's here.
No, we have to be honest.
You can be genuine with me.
We thought about it.
We actually have
thought
not.
about
We
it.
just are so desperate for guests at this point that we were like, I guess it's time we put Brad on.
Yeah, you know, I kind of felt that was the way it was happening, but I looked at the two of you and said, they need something.
So
they're desperate.
We are back. We are, I would say, side of the stage in Los Angeles, California for the Pop 2000 tour with O-Town, and I think the Callings on this tour as well.
Yes.
Ryan Cabrera and Kirkpatrick is also hosting the show
along with Brad from LFO.
We had to I was like, okay, we're going to be in LA. We got to get you on. I'm so glad you said yes, because I asked you a year ago and you said yes, but it just didn't happen.
Well, that was one of those just like, oh, I saw Brad. I better he knows how to have the podcast. I better say, hey, you want to come on sometime kind of.
I thought it was interesting because Chris in his writer, he's very specific about what he has in his dressing room. And last year it was whiskey and like a few other things.
Fig
Newtons, and what else?
Fig Newton peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Or just bread and peanut butter and jelly.
So I'm in his dressing room, and you come over to the dressing room and you say, "Hey, I'd like for you to meet my wife." And I didn't know, one, she's beautiful.
That she was hot?
Yeah, your wife's hot.
Or that he has 30 kids?
I didn't know you had 30 kids. His room, he's got whiskey. You go to your room, there's like romper room. There's like 7 Rugrats like running around. Well, 6 at the time.
He's got Capri Suns on his rider.
Yeah, what is your rider?
You know, my rider is pretty simple.
It is Capri Suns.
We have water. Now, you might notice that on the Pop 2000 rider, it says there's Fiji water, which I personally find embarrassing, and I've tried to get that removed.
Why?
Fiji's like the most expensive, hardest to find water. Right?
I don't know. I think I have the most expensive. What's mine? Flow?
Well, that one's Flow. Pure Life, I think.
Yeah, Pure Life. That's pretty generic.
You're NSYNC.
Yeah.
So, you know, NSYNC.
Yeah, but you're LFO. That's still
so
that's
I'm
a class
like
above
Deer Park.
Evian.
I'm like Deer Park level.
No,
right? You know
you're
what I'm
above Deer Park level.
And
you're
as opposed to
Park.
like Walmart, like Sam's brand, you know what I'm saying? But Fiji just I just feel like it's very like.
Yeah, but Fiji's like the brown M&Ms.
Wait, hold on one second. We've not even done this. Welcome to Name Drop, because we haven't even done this yet.
Sorry.
We did say Brad Fischetti from LFO. We haven't done Name Drop in a while, so welcome back to the show.
So anyways, water.
Yeah.
LaCroix.
LaCroix. Let's give LaCroix dings for this.
You like
LaCroix? Is that water
LaCroix.
though? Is that?
It's water. Yeah.
It's like seltzer.
Seltzer.
Not hard seltzer, but
No,
seltzer.
it's just it's
what about Waterloo?
sparkling water.
Shout out Waterloo.
Besides that, like hard-boiled eggs and
hard-boiled eggs,
meat and cheese. I thought about adding sardines on my rider.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Why?
Yeah, well, don't do that because we share a dressing room a lot.
And also, you guys are on stage
That's
together
the only
too.
reason why I haven't, because you guys are with me, and also, you know, Jacob, and actually you too, I think.
Jacob O-Town.
Jacob O-Town.
Jacob Underwood.
He gets really grossed out by weird food combinations.
Like what?
Oh yeah, no, I don't get.
And
he can't have things touching his plate or touching his food.
Well, we were backstage one day in Georgia. There was a show David Cook was on, right?
There you go.
David Cook.
Yeah.
And they were doing their little VIP in the back, right? So they had like a bunch of fans back there, and David Cook was sitting there, and I was like, I'm gonna do something fun, you know? So I grabbed like everything I could find, like bread, Cheetos, milk,
peanut
honey,
butter and jelly,
like most random
Took all
mustard,
my stuff.
you know? And I sat on the floor in the middle of their VIP, and I just made the sandwich with like Cheetos, milk, mustard. You know what I mean? Like,
what did he say to you?
Like,
what are you
whatever
doing?
I could find, and I put.
Did you eat it?
And he's looking at me, and he's like, you know, and then I took a big bite of it, and he was, not only was he grossed out, but he was angry at me. Like he was literally mad. You know what I mean? And so
is that why David Cook hasn't been back on the tour?
Well, what's funny is I start laughing, right? And David Cook's like, "Oh my gosh, that's the most animated I've ever seen you! Like you're over a sandwich."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not that he should talk about being animated because he's kind of chill himself,
Yeah.
but anyway. So then, you know, like a few months later, we were in Nashville, and there was like an old like plate of like fettuccine Alfredo and like an old Starbucks.
Yeah.
So I poured it on top, Starbucks on top, and started eating it just to gross Jacob out, you know?
Oh
when did
my
all
God.
this happen? Because you guys obviously met. Was it through Lou when O-Town was formed? Because you guys formed in '95 and
Yeah, they formed right after us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were coming up at the same time the NSYNCs were coming together. So,
Well, Chris's manager told me that you drove a limo for the boys.
well, do you want to? Are we trying to get to the whole story?
We're
here?
gonna go right
'Cause
to
you're
it.
like,
Let's
you're
get-
cutting to like 2000.
We're gonna go right to it. Let's go to '95.
This almost sounds like the documentary that just came out. We're just jump all over the place. It doesn't matter about time frames or not.
Or
but
truth.
let's just throw it all out.
Let's just go out there. So,
All right, so
you guys
let's
started in '95.
let's just give like the. Can I just give you like the brief story?
Yeah.
All right.
Cliff Notes.
So when Rich was like a teenager in Boston,
Rich Cronin.
blonde hair, blue eyed kid in like the mid 90s rapping, right? Very unusual at that time. And so they gave him the nickname the Lyte Funkie One, Lyte, because he, had blonde hair, green eyes. A couple years later, he meets another Boston-based rapper named Brian, right?
Brizz.
So they come together as the Lyte Funkie Ones, or LFO. Meanwhile, I used to fly down to Florida to visit my brother, who worked for Lou Pearlman's blimp company. Does Lou get a buzz or no?
Yeah, we'll give Lou a buzz. Bob, we gotta give your brother
Bob
one.
Fischetti.
Bob Fischetti.
So he was
gets
working
one.
for Lou's blimp company, and
The Blimp Company.
His fake
Airship
yeah.
International. And so at
drove
that
the
time, Lou had just started putting the Backstreet Boys together. So we'd be at Lou's house, swimming in the pool, chicken fights in the pool, of course.
Yep, give him
And,
chicken
uh,
fights.
Well, who won the chicken fights? A lot of them.
I don't know, whoever's on Lou's shoulder.
Yeah.
So
Wait,
Nobody
go
got
back to
close
this.
to Lou.
Wait, you guys had to get on Lou's shoulders?
I think it was in the contract.
I don't know.
I think it was in the contract
I
that
honestly
we
don't
signed.
remember. The reason why that chicken fight came to mind is because you always make jokes about chicken fights, so that's why
I do
said
always
it.
make jokes about chicken
I can't
fights.
promise you that there were chicken fights in the pool, but anyhow,
Let's just say there were.
let's say
So
there were.
Backstreet Boys, LFO, and NSYNC were all in the same pool.
No, but we can
Trying to paint a picture for women of a certain
All
age.
on Lou's
for
shoulders.
the for the sake of like Rich used to say, never let a few facts get into a good story. But no, that wasn't true. Anyhow, so a couple years later, I was interested in a career in entertainment business, and my brother's like, listen, why don't you move to Florida? Backstreet Boys are starting to make waves over in Europe. You can kind of work for Lou and just figure out what you want to do. So at the time, I was living in Texas. I was in college, and I told my mom, I'm quitting college and I'm moving to Florida to be a rapper. And she was like, you can imagine how that conversation went.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But eventually she realized, I needed to go. So I went. I started just driving Lou's limo, filling his fridge. He had very specific tastes of what he wanted in that refrigerator. And
Was it like Yoo-Hoo's?
Yoo-Hoo's and Martinelli apple juice and Zephyr Hills bottled water and Entenmann's cookies. The guy had to have lots of everything. Like even his cologne, he would have like a stack of like 10. Like he had to have a lot.
What was his cologne? What did Lou smell like?
I don't know. Every once in a while, somebody passes me and I smell it. I'm just like, pick out his clothes because he was colorblind, and then just. I went to so many different meetings. I remember being at a meeting when NSYNC first came up. You know?
What was that like?
It was interesting because Backstreet Boys was already in the mix, and then NSYNC's name comes up, and they're
Were you
trying
kind of bitter about it?
No, I wasn't even in.
No, he wasn't even in the business.
You were not even yet.
LFO
You were just,
wasn't. I
that's
was
right.
just in these meetings listening to how are we gonna navigate this whole NSYNC thing while we still have Backstreet Boys. It's very interesting.
Without pissing off the boys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, about a year after I moved down, I was at Lou's house and the doorbell rang, and it was Rich and Brian. They came down to meet Lou, and it was Carrie, Chris's manager, who actually made the connection. So we get together and we're sitting in Lou's game room. Remember the game room with like C-3PO and R2-D2?
Which, by the way, not to interrupt, but watching that, and I'm going to keep bringing it up, but watching that documentary, Dirty Pop, it is so weird to watch because it's from a perspective that none of us really had, because they're talking about Lou's house. They talk about Lou's house a lot. This giant mansion on the water, with jet skis, all this stuff. I never set foot in that house.
Yeah, I've been to that house,
But you have been to that house.
Yeah, but
that
when I
wasn't
think
the
of Lou,
house.
I
You
think of
the
Rich
one
Pine Trail.
in South Bay.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. With the old 1918 Rolls Royce in the garage. With
Was
the,
it both pretty nice estates?
No,
no.
the other one was kind of humble.
It was a big,
small.
It was a big house. It had a gate to get in the driveway, but it wasn't huge. It was probably like 4 bedrooms with a big game room. But the game room had like some amazing
C3PO.
artifacts, old laser disc player. So he sits us down. He's like, "Listen, guys, you're doing the same kind of music. Why don't you just come together and form one band, and then I'll sign you." So we're like, all right. We're all into rap music, and so we did that. Then he disappears. He comes back with a guitar, right? He goes, "All right, guys, I think you'll know this one, right?" Remember, this is three rappers sitting on the couch, Lou's game room. He starts playing. He wants us to sing La Bamba.
Oh yeah.
Like we literally had to sing La Bamba for him. Like 3.
Did you know the words?
Except for I know it now because I play it when I do this LFO story concert, and I tell that story, and then we play La Bamba.
Play La Bamba.
Yeah, so now I know it. My Spanish is horrible, but but anyways, that's how we came together. So we toured over in Germany in like '96 and '97, and then it was like, you remember Germany, like the fans were always in the hotel lobby.
Yeah.
But in our case, they weren't actually buying our CDs, so we were broke and we couldn't leave our hotel rooms. You know what I mean? And meanwhile, remember No Mercy?
Of course.
You guys are young, in your early 20s.
Yeah, those guys were making money, but nobody knew who they were.
Yeah.
So they could walk freely through the streets of Germany, whereas like, we couldn't go anywhere, but we were living off of 40 marks per day per diem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So at the end of '97, we really thought LFO was done. Like it didn't hit. We had modest success, but not enough to like warrant anything further. And then we get a call that we're going to be released in the States on a small label under BMG. And that, at the time, like, 96, 97, 98, to be released in the States was like, wow, like, oh my gosh, like a boy band in the States. It was huge.
Did you call your mom and be like, "Hey, Mom, see, this kind of worked out"?
I mean, I remember calling her to come to our very first show in the United States, opening for Backstreet at House of Blues, and so '98, we had some modest success, top 40 song in all the magazines, but it wasn't really going anywhere. And so we had a meeting with Lou at the Stage Diner in New York City, Stage Deli in New York City.
Stage Deli,
yeah. We're like the waiters are like 70 and rude. I mean, you're like, "I'll have this." "No, you'll have this."
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And so we sit there.
Brisket and like it.
We're sitting at the meeting, and I took like a ketchup bottle. I said, "Listen, this is Arista, a mustard bottle. This is RCA, and a mayo," and said, "This is Sony." And then I took like 3 sugar packets. I said, "Either we go here, we go here, we go here," and then I spread them apart and said, "Or we're done." Like we felt like we had gone as far as we could on this small label. We needed to get signed with a major.
Or you poured it out on the table and did lines of Sweet and Low.
That was you in 1996, if I'm not mistaken. Was that Sweet and Low?
Equal.
Sweet.
The bathroom,
Did you really do it?
That bathroom
equal.
counter in my hotel room, that was Sweet and Low?
It was equal.
Oh,
It's like a rock star starter kit.
Mixed with wasabi.
I got to change my stories now.
Oh my god.
So, long story short, he sets up a showcase for us with Clive Davis from Arista Records, right? And so we're out in like San Diego, and they set up like a whole concert in this like conference room. It's just Clive, his 2 A&R guys.
By the way, we didn't give Clive a ding.
Clive actually gets
That's a
several
huge
dings. And a handful of people, and we do this showcase for him. Goes really well, and then we head over to England for the worst tour possible.
Smash hits.
No, it was just like, this is supposed to be a tour of high schools and teen clubs with a
In the UK.
in the UK with a luxury minibus, right? So it was like the 3 of us and our security dude, who was like an ex-NFL football player, big dude. And we get there and it's a minivan, right? And we're driving like 6 hours a day, and then we're stationed in Wimbledon, which if there's no tennis tournament,
Yeah, there's
Wimbledon's
nothing.
dead, So it was a miserable experience. They literally had us play in like kindergartens, like libraries and kindergartens with like Radio Shack mics, teen clubs with microphones that don't even
So
work.
this is 98?
This is like the very early part of '99, right?
Was this after Brizz left, or is this?
This is kind of what
No, Brizz was still
this is
around.
what led
Yeah.
to
Brizz
Brizz leaving.
Okay.
So we had some problems over there, and it's a long story, but we had a separation with Brizz, and meanwhile, Lou had found Devin through Dakari and Mike Caputo.
Where was Devin out of?
He was out of Boston area
Out of Boston too.
And he had him sing on a couple songs that we had done for Clive. And I remember going to Lou's office, and I was like, "Hey, we need to talk to you." And he said, "No need to talk to you." And he played it for us. We were like, wow. I mean, Devin's voice, to this day, can still make me cry. You know what I mean? Just amazing. So it was a tough breakup with Brizz. And for many years, I had been like, "Listen, despite all the problems we have, I'll never break up with him." But things just got to the point where we had a separation, let's just call it that. And then that's when we added Devin. That's when Clive signed us to Arista Records.
Wow. So, but y'all did your demo in Mass, right? For Summer Girls, is that? And then you played it for Clive. And
what's funny is we had a meeting with Clive to talk about songs, and you know, like when you get signed to Clive, like if he tells you to sing Happy Birthday, you'll sing Happy Birthday. Like anything he wants you to sing, and he had these songs.
Sounds like Lou too.
Yeah.
Same with Lou.
He had these songs, that were cool, but not really our style, you know. And I told Rich before the meeting, I said, we got to play Summer Girls for him. He's like, "No, man, I'm too nervous." So we're in the meeting, and Clive's got this huge office.
Rich was too nervous?
Rich was a miserable, nervous person. When he would get nervous, he would be so miserable. Like you just didn't want to be around him. Like he would get so nervous. So we're in this meeting. Clive's got like a butler bringing him his iced tea, you know what I mean? And Clive's like, he's talking to us, "Brad, you're a handsome guy. What's with all the jewelry?" Like just stories like that. So I kind of interrupted the meeting. I was like, "Clive, I got a song I want to play for you," So I gave him the tape or the CD, he played it, and he's like, "Oh, I like it. We can put that on the album." And Rich freaked out. He's like, "I'm going to jump out this window right now." He was so excited. He's so excited
that he wanted to kill himself.
That he liked it and put
it
on the record.
Yeah?
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
Meanwhile, that other label we were on under BMG called Logic, which was ran by a lady named Kelly Schweinsberg, who unfortunately passed away. But without Kelly, we would be nowhere. She was like, she worked so hard for us, and she had sent a copy of the song to a couple of radio stations that she was friendly with, and it was summertime, and this program director at Z104 in Washington D.C. was looking for a song to play. He's going through his CDs. He sees this Summer Girls. He's like, "What's this?" Gives it a listen, and goes, "Oh, I like that. I'll play it." So he puts it on air. Meanwhile, a personality from the Z100 morning show, Greg T, was driving through DC from Florida with his fiance up to New York and heard it on the radio, called, found out what it was, tracked it down, and then the next Friday, Z100 devoted their entire morning show to the song. It wasn't even It wasn't even supposed to be released, right? And then from there, Z100 plays it. Everybody wants to play it. And apparently, I heard this only a couple of years ago, Arista tried to stop it. They tried to stop it.
Why?
I don't know the whole story why.
They don't like Abercrombie & Fitch? Chinese food makes them sick?
I think they just, they had a different plan for us, which wasn't really a great plan. Like, I think if we would have went with their plan...
They wanted you more like hip-hop guys or something?
Boy bands.
Oh, boy band.
Like, and it was like, not us, you know what I mean? So thankfully...
yeah, because your dancing was...
Hey, listen, Lance used to be in our choreography classes. Okay?
You said Lance
choreography class?
Shout out Lance.
You had choreography class?
Back when we used to use pencils as microphones.
Yeah, right. Okay, so tell me this. Now you guys have blown up. Now, so the show's called Name Drop, right? We want some stories. Like, give us some dirt. Give us some encounters that you've had that maybe you've never really even talked about before, or people you've run into along the way where it was like, man, I can't believe this person even knows the band. Or has there been any instance where you've been stopped by some famous person and they're like, "Dude, I'm a big fan of LFO," or...
Man, I wish you could have given me that question prior to...
I have... There's one.
Prior to what?
And Chris is right on this. There's one... There's something that's been eating at me for many, many years.
I don't believe you.
I had you guys on... I was hosting the TRL Weekend Countdown. This is when Carson was just doing TRL.
Carson.
I was doing the Weekend Countdown for radio. It's like a syndicated radio show.
Yeah.
And this is right when Girl on TV, you guys were pushing that. And Carson Daly was dating Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Yeah.
And then he found out through the press that Rich Cronin started dating Jennifer Love Hewitt,
Yes.
and it turned into a mess.
So yeah, let's.
I want to hear your side, and I'll tell you mine.
We'll tell an interesting story, right? So, now at this particular day, I'm going to mention. I don't know if Love and Carson were still dating or not.
Love is Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Yeah, maybe they might have broken up, maybe not. I don't know, but
this is before Jeff Timmons dated her and
he was
everybody else.
I remember Carson was.
Did
destroyed.
you date her?
No, I would have.
I don't know. I don't know any.
hot.
I
We
don't
could
know.
get her on the show and we could just talk about her boyfriends and just have a whole name drop
I
episode.
remember I had her on Hot Zone, and it was like this show during the day on MTV, and I forgot that I was on TV, and I was just blatantly hitting on her. I'm like, this is so
You?
uncomfortable.
No
I was
way.
like, oh god, Carson's gonna kill me. But
So
go ahead.
Rich was pretty infatuated with her.
Yeah.
And we had the same publicist.
Everyone was. Yep.
And we were going to some award show, and she was going to be there. So nervous Rich. We're in the limo. He's, remember those like little glasses of liquor they'd have in the limos.
Yeah.
He's drinking, and when Rich drinks, he called it personality. his face would get red. And he's nervous. He goes, "Listen, Brad, stay away from her." I go, "What are you talking about, dude?" He goes, "Don't go batting your eyelashes at her." I go,
I gotta be. You do have pretty eyes.
"Well, thank you, man."
Chris told me he was like,
like
look at his
that's
eyes.
the move? Is that the move
Yeah.
that you know?
No, but I was like, I didn't even mention Jennifer Love Hewitt, like, at all. And he's like, "Dude," he goes, "listen, if you stay away from her, I'll give you my publishing for Summer Girls."
What?
Wait, what?
Wait, what? Really?
How do you think I can afford 7 kids, dude?
No, come on.
He did say it, but he never gave it to me.
So Rich was a liar.
So this gig is just a hobby for you?
So,
Oh my god.
so I was like, dude, like, yeah, like I wasn't. So when we got there, I barely even said hi to her. I was like, I didn't want to get Rich angry,
Yeah.
So they meet, and she really inspired him, And I think it was the same night he had the track for Girl on TV, and wrote Girl on TV
It was about her.
About her, right?
Uh-huh.
Actually, I have a video of him playing it for us for the very first time, and so Summer Girls is huge, and then we decide we're going to follow with Girl on TV. So not only are we using a song written about Carson Daly's ex-girlfriend, but we put her in the video as well, right?
Biggest mistake.
Seriously. So we're on TRL for Summer Girls, right? And all of a sudden Carson goes, "Hey guys, I hear you have a new single coming out." And Rich is like, he goes, "Yeah." He plays a little bit of it. He goes, "Who's that about?" Live on TRL. Rich was frozen, and usually I'm pretty good at those moments. I was frozen, and Devin, the dude who never speaks at all, like who only riffs, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
He comes out and it's like, "Oh, it's like I like Buffy the Vampire Slayer." Like he's the one, and so then we knew, like, oh shoot, and so the video was supposed to have a TRL premiere. Like, what audacity! Like, who thought Carson would let that happen?
Yeah.
So it went from having a TRL world premiere to having just a world premiere to just being added in rotation.
No.
Oh no, it was bad. Because when I was hosting the show, I remember my producer coming over. Like she said, Rich wants to talk to you prior to doing the show, and so we're like kind of going to the side. And Rich is such a sweet kid, and he goes, "Hey man, is there any way that you can talk to Carson? Maybe we can get together." And I just wanted him to know that I didn't know. I had no idea, and I just looked at him. I'm like, oh my god, because they had been talking about it at MTV. They're like, we can't play. Because when I go in for Carson before he went to NBC, I'd fill in for Carson on TRL, and I'm like, oh, this is a banger. This is a great song. He wouldn't play the song on TRL, but I was able to.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a really quick, like kind of like in passing. It's okay at number 9. That was LFO.
Yeah, no, it was
kind of moving on.
it
But
was like
he didn't know how to.
I think
what
at the
to do.
time, like when your song's number 1,
Yeah.
you start feeling like a little bit invincible, right? And you start feeling like it's gonna last forever. We weren't mature enough. Somebody at the label should have been mature enough to go, "Hey, listen, it's really cool that Love's interested in being in your video, but that's taking it a little bit too far." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, she should have never been in the video. You know?
The rumor has it is that he found out about Rich and Jennifer Love Hewitt, through the press. I think it was Page Six. He had no idea. I mean, this guy was infatuated with her to the point where she bought him like those golden tees. Carson was obsessed with golf, and there was like a golden tee like at MTV.
Oh really?
And,
yeah. Honestly, I don't know like how things went down after that. I just know that Girl on TV video definitely got pushed aside. And we sort of made amends with him because we wound up doing TRL again, live like Key West, and he was hosting that.
MTV, some of the keys,
yeah. And we did his radio show. However, I don't know if this is true. You might know it. Somebody told me that at the very last episode of Carson Daly, or TRL, Carson's like flanked by like Snoop Dogg and somebody else. And they say the very last thing he said is, "I'm just glad LFO didn't make it," or something like that. Is that true?
I didn't hear that.
Really?
I didn't hear that.
I don't know. No. It's just a rumor. I don't know if it's true.
Because
we could probably have somebody look into that.
But Carson,
girl of a certain age. Could you get on that?
Do you know this? Did you hear this? I've never heard that. But
like, I'm not accusing Carson of saying that. No. Just more than one person told me that he said that, which is fine if he did. He could have said a lot worse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Based on the story.
Well, was Jennifer Love Hewitt. Then right after that was Woman of a Certain Age from American Pie. Tara Reid. He started dating her.
Oh, really?
And she became his fiance. So so he got over that. But
wait, are we calling her Woman of a Certain Age?
Yeah, yes. That's her name, Monta. Woman of a Certain Age.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like that. So yeah, I mean, like I said, we did make amends, at least professionally with Carson, like being on TRL, being on his radio show.
Yeah. Did he say anything to you? Did Carson
has he said anything since or ever even
when Rich died?
Is it like, are you and Carson like me and Eminem? Like it's like you just see each other in passing and you're like give each other the head nod. Like I think we're cool.
I don't know. I mean, he's kind of moved way past the MTV days.
Was
these days,
Today
Show and other things. So I mean, I'm happy for his success. I don't blame him for being angry. Yeah. I would have been angry too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
100%.
It's just, I guess it's just one of those stories that is interesting to talk about now.
Well, I think it's because it was so, I mean, she was the biggest thing. TRL was the biggest thing. Carson was the man back in 2000, 2001.
For sure.
But we don't see Carson coming and hosting the Pop 2000 anytime soon. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, he'd be welcome to.
What do you mean he'd be welcome to? I thought I was hosting it.
Co-host, like when you bring Brian out to help you out, man.
No, I don't need
Great. Carson takes another thing from me.
Here we go again.
Oh my God.
Here we go again.
Come on, man.
At least he didn't take love from you.
No, I had no chance.
He took the Today Show from you, though. That's what I heard.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
You guys want to hear that story?
No.
I shouldn't have dated her. I don't want to talk about it.
Was it Oprah?
No, it was Oprah. Yes. No, but I always wanted to know that because I was wondering if like Carson never reached out to you or even Devin after Rich passed away.
No, he never reached out. No, actually, it's interesting. Not many people reached out. It was really interesting.
What do you mean? Not many people have reached out?
Like after they died.
Uh-huh.
Like first one in the industry. Really, very few. And here's another.
You
story.
Remember that too?
Here's another story. So, Rich died in September, right? And so the following
2010
September 9th.
The following February, I was watching the Grammys, like excited to see his picture pop up, where they honor people who died, even like studio musicians,
right?
Right. And I watched, no mention of Rich. I was like, wow, that's messed up. The guy sold millions of records. He wrote hit songs. So when Devin died, I contacted Clive Davis. I was like, Clive, do me a favor. Like, it's gonna make me cry talking about this. I said, when Rich died, the Grammys did not honor him. Can you please make sure they honor Devin and Rich? Devin performed on the Grammys. He did this. He was part of the Sly and the Family Stone tribute one year, and rocked the Grammy stage. Right, sold millions of records. And I saw the emails back and forth between Clive and the Grammy people. So I thought for sure, right? I watched the Grammys. No mention of Devin or Rich. And I was like, man, that is so wrong. I was going to make a huge deal of it. I know, I want to say, was the guy from Smash Mouth who didn't get recognized on the Grammys? Somebody recently. It was another artist who passed away who didn't get recognized. And I was going to just start making a huge deal of it.
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's because you think it's like a legitimate thing? Like they don't want to be associated with anything with boy bands or with the, because Steve wasn't boy band, Steve,
no, he
Smash
wasn't.
Mouth wasn't.
If he wasn't, I could be wrong, but it was an artist like that. I don't know why. It's like, well, why do certain people win the Grammys?
Well, didn't they do what was the Together?
Oh yeah, the Cutie. What was his name? The Woman of a Certain Age. Together, the boy band, the
young kid
MTV boy band,
passed away.
His name was QT. I think his name was.
But
Matt.
didn't they even do something? Did they do something for him?
I don't know. I just said I'll never watch the Grammys again.
That was a
after
sad
that.
story because he was 15 years old and he was sick.
Eminem said he won't ever, go to the Grammys. I mean, there's a lot, with these organizations and how they portray things and how they want to be portrayed, because they find the things that they love and they think as old people.
The people love it, but they don't. Like, did NSYNC win a Grammy back in the day?
Right, never.
Which is absolutely ridiculous.
Never.
You guys sold 2.4 million records in 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this sounds like me.
A world record.
Yeah.
Right? I remember the day, and I remember it clearly. Like,
Well, and we lost best vocal performance on a record to Steely Dan.
What's more important though? You think about you have eight movements.
Not Steely Dan.
Wait, 8. Wait, 8 million. You had 8 Moonmen, right, or 9?
Yeah. Well, I think, I think the difference is because, especially in our era, in that late '90s, early 2000s. I mean, how many award shows did we have? We had the American Music Awards.
Yeah.
We had the Billboard Awards. We had the Blockbuster Awards.
Nickelodeon Kids' Choice.
We had Kids' Choice Awards.
BET.
We had the Grammys. We had the BET Awards. There were so many of the radio. There was a Radio Music Awards.
Yeah.
So many award shows that it was like they all got convoluted a little bit, and it was like, I mean, because we have American Music Awards, we have Blockbuster Awards, we have Billboard Awards.
Kids'
Those
Choice.
things are great.
Yeah, you should have a Grammy though. It's just.
But everybody talks about the
stupid.
Grammys.
It's stupid, And I think these days people don't take the awards quite as seriously as they used to. But back then.
Well, now don't they have TikTokers probably at the Grammys because, it's about likes. It's about, what is going to promote their cause or
let's
their
just
agenda.
Think about it. If part of their cause should be to earn money, right?
Yeah.
So if they were smart, they go, well, NSYNC's the biggest group on the planet right now. So we should have them.
Actually, right now they are.
We should have them perform. We should have them give out an award, and then we should give them awards so that 10 million 12 to 20-year-olds watch our show tonight.
No, we did do a Lifetime Achievement Award for the Bee Gees, which was really awesome. But as the award show itself goes, it's tough because who really are they awarding these things to?
Yeah.
Because the Steely Dan stuff, I mean, I don't think no offense Steely Dan, but I don't think they'd had a record in 20 years
Forever.
or something like that. And then he came out with this record, and then they felt like, I don't think they'd won an award before that. So all these awards were going to Steely Dan for all this crazy. It's like a boys club. It's kind of like a boys club. And if you don't get along with the boys club, then...
If you drive down these roads here in LA, what do you see? Billboards.
Homeless people.
A lot of homeless people.
Lots of homeless people.
Well, okay, what do you see on billboards? You see different TV shows.
Homeless people that aren't afraid of heights.
Different TV shows with basically asking the people who vote awards to consider that TV show. I mean, it's just...
Oh, right.
You know what I mean?
I
It's,
just have to say, I can't believe this is the first time I'm seeing you since the movie came out, Deadpool. Holy cow. Have you seen Deadpool yet versus Wolverine?
Oh, are you talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you. I just had to say something.
I like to talk to Brad.
I know, but we're going to...
I like to talk to you, too.
I know, but like, just,
you
have you
okay?
seen the movie?
Are you okay?
No, but
I think he just had a seizure.
I just had a moment.
Are you okay?
No, I just had a moment.
He just had a seizure about
One of the best opening
in a
scenes
safe
of... I don't
place.
even like...
You're in a
I don't
safe
even,
place, buddy. I
Oh,
promise.
thanks, buddy. Thanks,
okay.
man. No, but...
Carson's not here.
We're okay. Say something? That was awesome.
Let's start feeding you water.
Holy cow. The opening scene of Deadpool.
You're like
see
Chris
it?
Farley. Like Chris Farley
Anyway,
right now.
I
Remember
just
that?
had to say something.
Remember that movie? You guys were in the movie. That was awesome.
It was so
That
cool.
was awesome.
I know, but no, it was kind of cool because
so cool.
because you guys are like in the top 20 now. What,
Yeah,
18,
it's
17?
crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's
Good
been a
God.
crazy week.
Can I touch you?
Bye.
Yeah.
He's real.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
back
Oh
in
my
the top
God, he's
20?
real.
It's back in the top.
Oh my God.
So
That's
listen. So again.
So you're buying dinner tonight?
I'm buying. I always buy you dinner, Chinese food every night. It's freaking the best.
Doesn't it make you
Loves
sick?
it. No, it only made Rich sick.
Only Rich.
Rich had a weird thing, and that's a funny thing how we kind of bond at this tour too is over Rich.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I was cool with Devin, I was cool with Brizz, especially later the Orlando years. Brizz was always around, but Rich and I did a TV show together, and Rich and I became very close in his later years. which was, pretty ironic, knowing the histories of our two bands and how crazy. And now it's even more ironic, I guess, that you and I are so close on the tour. But it is funny because Rich's humor, I'm going to keep dinging Rich, but Rich's humor just, like, we went blow for blow. And it was funny because it's like you and I a lot of times, when you start going with him, you go down these rabbit holes of being, you kind of go into this character or whatever, and you're both in this character, and it's like the Top Gun where they're spiraling down and neither one of them pull up.
Yeah.
Neither one wants to pull up, and you keep looking at them like, are we still going with this? Are you serious on this? But that's, Rich just would keep it going.
I always say, like, you've heard me say it 1,000 times, but having you around is like having a little bit of Rich around, because you guys are both really funny, really can command a room, and just fun to be around. But
so you honor Rich and you honor Devin every time you get on stage, and that's something that you can
bring
just see the passion.
Out.
You bring the sneakers out. Are they? That's another question I had.
Yes.
Are they their sneakers?
Well, so when Devin and I reunited in 2017, right? In 2016, I got a text from Jeff Timmons from 98 Degrees.
Okay.
And he's like, hey, man, we do a little tribute to you guys on our tour. It was like the Y2K tour or something like that. And I was like, oh, that's cool, man. I said, well, if you ever want Devin and me to come up and do a cameo appearance, like half joking, let me know. He's like, all right, pick a date. And I was like, oh, shit, so.
Yeah, that's Jeff, though.
Yeah.
Jeff is like, you're like, yeah, let's throw it out there. And Jeff's like, all right, we'll see you 3:00 on August 11th at...
Yeah, so I looked at the routing, and they were playing Coney Island, which is where we shot the video for Summer Girls. So Devin and I flew up to New York. A friend of mine picked us up from the airport in like this total beater, like a beat down car that you didn't even want to put your backpack on the floorboards. Like that's how beat up it was. And we arrive at the venue, this big amphitheater. All the tour buses are parked there, and we get to the security gate and like roll the window down, like, hey, we're the artists.
I like the way you had to roll the window down. You didn't even roll the window down. It was roll the window down.
They didn't have NSYNC money.
Yeah. So anyways, we did our part. It was like 30 seconds long. The crowd went berserk. And I remember walking off the stage with my arm around Devin saying, man, that was a cruel joke, And 3 days later, I got a call from an agent who said, hey, I was at the show. Would you consider bringing LFO back? Which we had never considered.
So cool. Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time praying about that and like trying to like discern like, where's my heart at? Where are my intentions, right?
Yeah,
so my heart was pure. My intentions were clear, like honor Rich, bring the fans back to a simpler time. And maybe, we had like 10 kids between us, maybe earn some extra money as well, So we did this tour in 2017, and I told my agent, we're not going out on a package. Like, we're going to headline, and that's how I want to start with our band, So like, I drove the tour bus. We slept at truck stops. We showered at truck stops.
Together.
Not together.
You guys didn't shower together.
We're not NSYNC.
Oh.
And
wow, you're missing out.
Yeah, we did this tour, and it was it was awesome, And we had a microphone stand on stage with a pair of white shell-toe Adidas to represent Rich, and we had made plans for a second and a third leg of the tour. I remember it was like a Sunday, and I spent like 6 hours booking travel for everybody, and then. Slow down a second.
Sorry, man. It feels like no matter how many times you tell it,
So the next day, my friend came over and he's like, "Hey, I need to talk to you." I'm like, "What's up?" It was Devin's in the hospital. I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, the most fit guy you'd ever want to meet. You know what I mean? No stress.
Yeah.
Worked out, ate good."
Was fast.
So I run to the hospital, and he's like, he's not in his bed. He's like meditating on the couch. You know what I mean? He's got like a Biggie Smalls t-shirt hanging up in this corner. He's got a book on human anatomy over here. But then I see like that paper where they give you like your daily plan and list all the doctors, and I see oncologist on the form.
Oh,
and I was like, oh shit. So it turned out he had this tumor.
Yeah.
The size of a football in his abdomen, So I took him to some doctor appointments with surgeons. They're kind of giving us like the lowdown, like you might wake up with a coloscopy bag if we have to take out too much of your colon, and you know, all these different scenarios. So he has the surgery, and like 2 hours later, the surgeon comes out with a picture on his phone of the tumor. It's like, we got it out. And we're all like cheering.
Praise God, thank God,
We're
right?
thinking like it's curative, you know?
Yeah.
But by that time, it spread to his blood, into his bones, and he suffered bad, you know? I remember one day, I think this was his way of saying goodbye to my kids, because he lived with me for a while, so he was really close with my 2 older kids, you know? And he came over, he was like skin and bones, and he had a cane. He just walked in the house, he's like, hello, beautifuls. I made you some cookies, you know, and he gave the cookies to the kids and sat down for a minute and goes, all right, I'll see you later. And then he left. And, you know, I used to
Was that his way of saying goodbye to your kids?
That was his way of saying goodbye to the kids, I think, you know.
Did you eat any of the cookies?
I don't know.
Do you still have the cookies?
Were they wheat cookies?
Hold on, let me see. I think I brought you guys one.
You keep them in your pocket,
So,
freeze dried.
So yeah, you know, after
Of course.
after Devin disappeared, that's what he would say to me. He's like, Brad, listen, when I go, can you just tell the people I disappeared? And I was like, okay. Like, so I think when I posted, I was like, you know, Devin disappeared, you know? And so, you know, that was a tough time. I went into a really deep depression after that.
What was the last time that you were with him?
Well, you know, it's funny. I used to go over to his house, and have you ever heard of Tiger Balm?
Yeah.
Right. I still have the bottle I used to use because the smell reminds me.
Yeah.
And I used to rub his back because he had really, like, his kidneys had completely, one kidney he had left completely shut down. Like, he was like peeing out, like brown, like he was just in so much pain. The tumors were popping out of his skin, you know? And so I'd rub his back for him, you know, and with that Tiger Balm. And then he had a red couch, and I would read to him. And he liked science fiction, and I hated science fiction. But I was thinking like Star Trek, you know? But it was this book called R is for Rocket by Ray Bradbury. And it's a collection of short stories, and the stories were amazing. Like, yeah, they were science fiction, but not like so weird. Like the as an author, he was like John Steinbeck, just like amazing. And then the stories were interesting. So he used to sit on the couch. He lay on the couch, and I'd read to him. And the next story was called The Exiles, that we were supposed to read the next time I came over.
Yeah.
And we did a side project called The Exiles, you know? And he died like 2 days later. I never got to read it to him. And I couldn't read it I don't think I read it until recently, you know? So I went into a really dark zone after he passed away. You know, it was just a really heavy depression.
Dude,
Well, the hardest part is you had to go through Rich, you know, and I know that was tough on you. Then you had to go through Devin, and then you had to go through Brizz. Well, and even though Brizz and you guys,
but that it's interesting because, so you know, after Devin died, like I said, I
didn't ding any of those guys.
I went in the dark zone. I got through it through help. My wife's like, listen, you got to do something. Like, you can't live this way. And I got some help and tried to spend time with friends and tried to work out, meet with my pastor.
Was it affecting your home life with like the kids? And...
it was like somebody pulled a hood over my eyes. Like, I had no joy whatsoever, you know? Because I used to beg God, like, please don't take him, you know? So I was just in deep, dark hole. And eventually I got out of it. And then about a year after that, my agent calls again. You know, he's like, "Hey, we got this Pop 2000 tour." At the time, Lance was hosting it, and we've got these 3 dates that, you know, it was too small for Lance to do, or not enough money. Would you want to come out and host it, and then do an LFO set with O-Town backing you up? And I was like, oh my gosh, like I had never even considered that, like,
doing anything without them.
I had put LFO away. You know what I mean? Like, it's over. Like, you know, and. So I went over to Harold's, Devin's real name is Harold. Went over to his house, and I asked his fiance for his red Showtell Adidas that he wore on the last tour. And so then I got 2 pairs of Adidas hanging from the mic stand, and I didn't know what to expect in the first sound check.
Did this wake you up? I mean, did it kind of just take you out of your funk right away?
No, I'd already sort of gotten out of the funk,
Yeah.
you know. So I was in a better frame of mind at that point in time. But that first sound check, we left, you know, during Girl on TV, we leave Devin's like little bridge in there, and so when that played for the first time,
Yeah.
dude, I was in the corner crying. So the first, even today it happens, but for the first few shows, I was just like in tears after every show, you know. And but the fans were really supportive, and I didn't really know what to expect, you know. And they're always so gracious. Thank you for doing this. Like, thank you for allowing me to. You could very easily say, "Yo, what are you doing? Your bandmates are dead. You weren't even the main guy. What are you doing up here?" But instead, they say, "Hey, thank you for continuing the legacy. Thank you for honoring them." And then they like to share their own stories of loss, of cancer, of whatever it might be. So they want to pray in the merch line sometimes, you know. So it's been a very humbling experience. And then obviously through this tour, getting to know the O-Towns better and become really close, getting to spend more time with Chris and reconnecting and coming closer than we ever were.
I just like the way you honor. I mean, I've seen so many of the Pop 2000 shows. I've gone to a lot of them, especially reuniting with Chris and doing Name Drop. And I like the way you honor and you celebrate their lives. And it's pretty cool. And it shows on stage. And it's also rad, like, just to see all you boys get on stage, O-Town coming in to do some of the songs with you in your set. And then at the end, all of you boys kind of go out like brothers and sing that last song.
One of the things that I appreciate about it is the fact that when you talk about it, you know, it's one of those things that when you're saying I'm going back out on this tour and it upsets you, because I see it every night. You know, I see you every night. I wait for you. I know some nights I'm like, this might be a rough one. This is an anniversary or something. So I'm always waiting because, you know, I want you to see somebody that you go, oh, he's an idiot. You know, I can kind of smile a little bit or make you smile over it. But what I think is interesting to think about is, you know, you used to do it to where it was like this silence, right? During the show, it was beautifully done. You said some great words. Now you do it more as a celebration. And both times, though, I'm thinking to myself, there's no reason you should be upset about anything because you're out there. These guys aren't here, but they want this more than anything on the planet. You're keeping them alive. You're keeping the dream alive. You're keeping the band alive. You're keeping the sound alive. And the way you do it with O-Town is amazing. You know, those guys get to sing the LFO songs, and you get to do the LFO songs, and people get to hear the LFO songs. Yeah. You know, it's not like they have to go back and go, oh man, I wish I could go somewhere and hear this again or do this. You know, you honor them really well, and you know, as your friend and being on the tour, it's always one of my favorite parts. And
no, I appreciate that. It's been awesome between the like you said, we all are out there together. Like we really all do love each other on the Pop 2000 tour. It's not like, you know, just something for stage. Like,
and you can see there's bands that come on, or there's bands that come to be a part of it that don't work. You know, that just don't work out because it is like a family. And the people that come on and the people that stay on, there's a reason they're on.
Yeah, I mean, we especially do the festivals and you see like all these different genres or different types of bands and they're like, oh God,
it's really unique because you've been on a lot of tours. It doesn't always happen that way, you know? So it's definitely special. The venues recognize it, you know? But you mentioned earlier about Brian passing away. And, you know, Brian and I had a tough relationship. We kind of, you know, we kind of made amends several years ago. He called me one day and we talked through a few things. But it wasn't like, you know, it wasn't, I wouldn't say like,
it was just that you guys are cool again. It wasn't like, hey buddy, let's hang out, let's be.
Yeah, it was still, you know, there was a lot of water under the bridge, you know. He was somebody I prayed for like every single day, you know what I mean? I just wanted him to have peace.
How did you find out? I mean obviously this was so sudden.
So I was at home and I was holding she must have been an infant, and
his 17-year-old.
Yeah, my wife was putting one of the other kids to bed, and Mike Caputo calls me, and Mike was like our fourth member. You know, he was always with us. He was like tour manager, road manager, security, you know, joker, you know, just helping keep Rich sane when Rich was really in a bad mood, or dealing with Devin when Devin was, you know, on the toilet when he should be live on TV, stuff like that, you know. And so he goes, "You ready for this?" I'm thinking like, oh, one of his artists got signed. Like, I'm like, yeah. And he goes, "I don't think you're ready for this." I'm like, "Yeah, of course. What's up?" He's like, "Brizz is dead." And I was like, dude, I went into this like, this almost like comatose state. Like my wife came down the stairs and I just handed her the baby, you know. And I went and sat in the bedroom and I was like, I need to talk to somebody who knew us then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know? And for some reason, Greg T from Z100 came to mind.
Oh, so you called him up?
Called Greg T. You know what I mean? And then I started like crying and yelling like I did when Devin was sick. Like it's the first time I'd gone that far. Like obviously it was sad that he died. I didn't wish death upon him. But what blew my mind was, how is it possible that all three of them are dead, right? Like how is it humanly possible?
It's like a dark cloud around.
These three guys under 50 are all dead. Mm-hmm. It just I was in a funk for like at least 2 days just trying to like wrap my head around it. I did speak to Brian's dad. I called him up and, you know, expressed my condolences. And we made mention Brian at a couple shows around the time of his death. And you know, like for me, like I believe that our friends and family who have passed away can pray for us. Right.
Did it take you a long time to talk about any of this? I mean, we're talking 14 years. I think the show is kind of some
therapy.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm pretty open, you know, about this stuff. When people want to know, I'm pretty open. When it comes to the therapy part, I think it's important to talk about because there's a lot of people, especially men, who are not vulnerable enough to admit that there's a problem here, right? They spend so much time making sure the body looks right, skin looks good, the hair looks good. But
you're talking to the wrong guys here. We don't care about our bodies, obviously.
Well, at least one of them, but...
Wait, what? Chris?
Huh? I mean, look at that beautiful specimen. But, you know, a lot of guys aren't really able to recognize when they have something going on in their heads, you know? So I always encourage people, like, it's hard to talk seriously with your... Yeah, you guys watching your client over here? No?
What?
I agree.
No. Yep, I totally agree.
I agree. I mean, and that is true, but there is also that therapy side of it, which I'm sure... And you do a lot of meet and greets. You know, you do a lot of stuff where you're with the fans, and you get to talk to them a lot and answer questions and hear, you know, I mean, you're going straight to the source. When you're with fans, a lot of times you're hearing it street level. You're hearing what everybody's talking about, what they feel, and you can tell them, you know, these stories that you just told us, you know, all the stuff that happened, and they get it directly from your mouth. And you got to remember, that's huge. No, that's big. What you're doing is big. And I can tell you something else that this guy does on the tour is every venue we have gone to, every show I've ever done with him, as soon as he's done on stage doing his thing, we always joke about it. I always feel like I call it the plane ride. And I feel like I'm constantly waiting for the plane because I'm the host, so I have to be there all night long. Yeah. And I see the people that are getting on the plane, and you know when you're in an airport and you're waiting in the thing and you see the people getting off the plane and you're like, oh, I still have my whole travel ahead of me. People getting off the plane are like, oh, thank God I'm done with my travel. These idiots still have to go. Well, I'm the idiot that's just sitting in the airport constantly waiting for this flight. But I can tell you that every show we do, he writes thank you cards.
You told me this last year.
Yeah, he writes thank you cards to everybody that has anything to do with the tour while we're there, all the local people that are working their butts off. And I see him handing these out, and every time it's almost the same thing. It's almost like, what is this? Like, it's so mind-blowing that it wasn't just like a gimmick. It wasn't something you did to be like, oh, I'm going to look like really cool. I'm going to do this. Everywhere we go, every stop we make, every show we do, you do thank you cards for him. What started that? Like, what was...
Like you, I was really always close to like the band and the crew. I know you used to really help the crew a lot and ride in the crew bus, and so I was always cognizant of the guys that were putting in the time before we just showed up and got to do our thing. I can't say I ever stayed after an arena show and helped wrap cables like you did.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I was always aware of of that aspect. Maybe not on the same level I am today.
Are these all handwritten?
Yeah. Yeah, he handwrites notes.
I make they're like little LFO postcards, you know.
Yeah.
On the front side, it's got the logo. On the back side, I just write it. You just write a thank you note.
Would you write me a thank you?
No.
For coming on to name drop? Like
no,
when
he writes people that mean something.
I mean a lot to you, right?
You do.
No.
I mean, I'd be happy to write you one. I brought enough just in case.
Do
You know.
you have them with you right now?
I do.
Some extras. He has a stamp though that he uses.
Wait, he's gonna go get it. Hang on. And we'll be right back with more name drop as Brad Fischetti is getting me a thank you card. You really did. So this is exactly it. And before we do say goodbye, Brad, we do a song.
Yeah, we have to get you to sing.
You're gonna have to sing for us,
Brad.
Yeah, just take your time.
Yeah, look.
Oh my God, he actually has it.
I'm telling you, this is like.
This is an honor.
And this is every show.
And you get one every one?
How many
No, it's
shows?
for like the guys, like the sound guys and security, stuff like that.
Right to my best friend Brian, with an eye.
With an eye, right?
Yeah, maybe a heart. Maybe.
I thought you had two eyes.
No, just.
To
Brian, we call him
my
Popeye. It's good, just me, Brian with an eye.
To Brian.
No leg
best-
either. Call me
best-
Peggy.
buddy.
You're not gonna tell him what to write.
No, I'm not. No, you don't have to write. Yeah, whatever. Like best friend in the whole world, wide world.
Yeah.
Brian.
Whole wide world.
My
Honest.
number one Brian
My number-
friend
My favorite Brian.
that I have.
The
But
only-
yeah, this is every show,
That's incredible.
you know. And I see, I think that
Do you
because
keep 'em?
I forget certain things some days where I'm like, oh, I forgot to drink my tea today, or I forgot to do this. He never forgets to do the thank you cards, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that you're getting a thank you card.
I'm getting it. Thank you. Phone number.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that. LFO. Man,
Lyte
that's-
Funkie Ones.
Yeah, Lyte Funkie Ones.
Okay, now we're gonna get you to sing. We don't have our pitch pipe, or maybe we don't. Brian might have it.
I need my readers. He wrote it backwards. This is how he does it?
Yeah, well, look it in the mirror.
Oh my God.
Go show it in the mirror.
All right, so this is, I didn't bring my pitch pipe. I forgot it.
You didn't bring anything.
I didn't bring anything.
I brought the sign.
I just brought my heart.
Monta
That's all I
brought
had.
the bells. You didn't even bring your pitch pipe, Brian.
I brought my pipe.
Fired.
Ready?
Fired. Name drop. That's where we're gonna go. Ready? On the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Name drop. You were a little flat again.
God, I'm
That's
always.
right.
Do you think? What do you think it's? Do you think it's my
I think
Adam's
it's your
apple?
brain.
It's not my.
No, it's pretty much
Okay,
your brain.
Let's try it one more
it's
time.
the process of going from here to here.
Hey.
I think. 1,
2,
2, 3. Name drop. Yeah, that was good. That one you stayed on
Really?
it that time.
Oh.
Brad,
Thanks, man.
you killed. No,
Thanks.
yeah, you're all right too. But
Brad,
I
thanks
think
for coming
Brad
on,
kept you
man.
up.
Hey,
I'm
thanks for
glad
having
we
me.
waited a year and it was perfect.
Yeah.
It was perfect timing.
Name drop.